Well, good evening, and welcome to Cigar Time. Yeah, I changed it up a little.
You did a little bit.
You did.
Nice. I like
Surprised us all.
Yeah.
Well, I could have said good morning.
You could have.
Yeah. Your ever-friendly show all about premium cigars. Welcome back, panel.
Thank you for having us
thanks,
back,
Art.
Wink.
Seems like we're missing somebody. 1, 2.
Yeah, Moose isn't here.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
He'll
Moose
be here
is here
later.
for the-
He'll be here later.
He'll be here,
He'll be here for the
the
next
other
show.
half.
the next half hour.
The next half. But don't forget, stay tuned in the next half hour. But we're not done yet. We're not done yet.
I
Almost.
hope not.
We're just getting started, right?
Yeah, 5 o'clock.
Rob, why don't you tell us what we're going to be smoking today? And let's get smoking it.
Yeah, please.
Today we're smoking the New World from AJ Fernandez.
Yeah, it's
New World what?
the original, I guess.
This is the original.
Well, there's three
But they
new
call it
worlds.
something
No,
else.
there's more than there's a.
Yeah, but
there's
which
4
one's
new
what's
worlds.
this called? Which one's
Yes,
this called?
Yeah,
Squirrel
It's just
original.
the original.
We
New
call
World.
it original. They
Yeah, we
call
call
it a
it-
squirrel.
Yeah.
What do
There's
they
also
know?
the Cameroon, the Connecticut, and the Pure.
Puro
Puro.
Especial.
Puro.
Especially, yeah, I
Yes,
love
thank
that cigar.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. I smoked one yesterday when I was walking my dog.
Did you really?
I did.
Wow.
This is a Nicaraguan Puro, by all accounts. Scott just told me about 10 minutes ago.
What does he know?
By all accounts.
and you take his word for it.
No, not really.
No, I googled it.
Yeah. Well, it must be true then.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, must
Although
be.
this, I don't know, that wrapper.
It doesn't look a
sus-
Scoro.
No, it's not a Scuro, but it looks suspiciously from a place in South America that's connected to North America. Wait a minute.
All of
Actually,
South
no,
America
actually-
is connected.
South America's not connected
Actually,
to them.
Yeah, it is, except for
is.
the Panama Canal.
Except for the, you know.
It looks awfully Mexican to me, is what I'm trying to say.
What about
I don't
Central
think it is.
America? That's sort of in between.
It
there.
gets squeezed in between.
Central America is actually officially part of North America.
North America, yeah. It's on the continent of North America.
Yeah,
Well, we'll go with it's a Nicaraguan Puro for now.
Okay,
that works.
that works.
And this was Cigar of the Year in 2014.
Oh, I'd forgotten that.
in Cigar
Wow.
Journal.
What did we miss?
I don't know. Something funny, apparently.
I think somebody cut wind.
Well, it's
That might be
we were
It's sort of
talking
a
about,
joke.
But yeah, because they put Cigar Journal in very small.
Very
type.
small type.
So you just see the rating.
Yeah, you just see number 1. It is a great cigar.
Oh, well, we're smoking this because we have 3 events with AJ, the company AJ. AJ's not there next week. So on
You never
next,
know. You can make a secret surprise visit.
Yeah, that's
Well, he'd
not
be the
happening.
palest person in the room, I'll tell you that. So it's actually next Thursday, which is September 23rd, in Fraser. We're having the event from 11 to 2, then Westchester from 4 to 7 on the same day, and then on the Friday, the following day, we're going to have an event in Colmar from 4 to 8. So it'll be lots of fun, lots of deals. They have some really cool swag, and I hope it's the same as we've had at other events. There was a really cool like thermal, like one of these. With
I thought
AJ's
you meant
logo.
underwear.
And it
Thermal.
was very popular.
Thermal underwear could be
yeah,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to sit outside and smoke a
I
cigar in
was
the
gonna say,
winter,
it's-
thermal underwear could come in.
It's
very
starting to
handy.
get towards, autumn
What do you
and
do?
winter.
Do you have a heater out there, Paul, in the winter? Or
Yeah.
okay,
You think you
You
just
mean-
stop smoking?
You mean for my late night cigar?
Yeah.
you're 1
Yeah.
o'clock, not late night, 1 o'clock. It's early morning.
I think of it as late night.
I
You
agree.
can think of it
But
as
I have to
early
be
morning.
contrarian.
Of course you do.
Yes, he does.
You wouldn't be you otherwise.
I know.
That sounds like an old
This is.
song.
I think I believe we once did our our top 5 go-to cigars.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, this may have actually been in
All the
but
lists.
one, I think, or all the lists. One, it may have missed like Moose's list or somebody, but I think we all included this. This
Well,
is
if you look, as you guys do often, if you look at numbers, the New World line in general does extraordinarily well.
Yes.
You
Absolutely.
do sell a lot of it. You know
Agent-
why?
It tastes good and the price is right.
I was going to say, look at the prices.
Yeah.
No, but
price
that
is
doesn't figure on that.
No, it doesn't mind.
Never
Right.
mind.
it doesn't in my rating, but it
It
does
absolutely has something to
It
do
does
with
in
it.
my
You had
life.
to, you had
not
to,
in my
you had to
rating.
set them off.
Right, I'm sorry.
You had to set them off.
But I digress.
Let the sleeping
Tastes
dog
great.
die.
Less
Well,
expensive.
This one has, we've talked before about some kind of a retro flavor for some reason. Now, normally I wouldn't say that about this cigar, but it
You
kind
mean
of seems like it has a retro back
kind
to
of
like
an
the,
old school Nicaraguan kind of flavor.
yeah, like
Yeah.
something I would have had in the mid '90s kind of thing.
Were you old enough to smoke then?
I don't remember.
Well,
was too young.
we shouldn't define a cigar's flavor by mid-90s only because there were an awful lot of really bad cigars
Well,
in
there,
the
there was
mid-90s,
a cigar
yeah.
called Padron as well,
But there was.
I'm not comparing it to them, but
But
It does look like the same wrapper as the Padron, though.
that's exactly why I said what I said. Not accusing anybody of anything, but
It does look like a Padron
it
wrapper.
is very well known amongst those in the know.
In the know.
Who would that be?
you got to be
Certainly nobody
People
on this
have told
panel.
me.
you got to be very careful about those in the know.
Yeah.
Remember, a key portion of that sentence is no.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Okay, moving along.
So, being a Nicaraguan puro, and one with a whole lot of flavor to it,
Yes,
obviously,
it does.
makes
got a little
me
strength to it,
makes
too.
me think about the different regions in Nicaragua that grow different style tobaccos, and we often talk about how tobacco from Yalapa tastes different than tobacco from Esteli or Condega. So I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about the soil elements that really have some effect on flavor. And there are a few that are obvious, and there are a few that are not. Just as an example, Nicaraguan soil in general, but particularly in Condega, is high in iron. And as it turns out, the more iron there is in the soil, the more aromatic the tobacco will be. It's also why when people talk about Cuban soil, they say it's got red clay.
Yeah.
The red is from
Yeah,
iron.
yeah.
But there are a couple of other things too. I mean, everybody knows when you fertilize, you're putting nitrogen in the soil. Whatever method you use, whether it's cow manure or putting another crop under the soil, or just putting down chemical fertilizer, you're adding nitrogen. The more nitrogen there is in the soil, the more nicotine the leaf will have. And to quote one of the great tobacco men of all time, Johnny Oliva.
Oh,
I could quote you too, but
yeah.
I don't know how
I don't
relevant
think
it would
I don't
be.
think I rate in that audience.
Johnny Oliva says nicotine equals flavor. And so if you think about it that way, the more nitrogen there is in your soil, the more nicotine and flavor overall you're going to have. And the last thing has to do with the pH of the soil, which also has a tremendous impact on the flavor. The lower the pH, the more intense and sweet the flavors will be. So as you're blending, you have to pick tobaccos that come not so much from different areas, but from different soil types.
Interesting. There's a lot of volcanoes
Yeah.
in
More
Nicaragua.
active volcanoes in Nicaragua than anywhere else in the Americas.
Huh.
Yeah, there's more volcanoes in Nicaragua than there are like Ohio.
Yeah,
Pennsylvania, yeah. Not too many.
Oh, wait a minute. There's some active volcanoes in Pennsylvania. They just haven't been discovered yet.
Yeah.
They're
They're
buried.
underground.
They're underground.
They're underground, yeah.
well, isn't there an underground fire that's been going on in
Yeah,
Pennsylvania for like 20 years?
Candela, it begins with a C.
Candela.
Oh, it's been burning for like 50, 60
Catastrophe?
years.
Yeah, it's like a coal mine that caught
Yeah,
fire
and
underground
it's
and
been
they
burning.
can't put it out.
I believe it's been burning since I was a kid.
Yeah,
Which was almost 100 years ago.
That's scary.
not quite.
No, it's been burning.
as hell.
I think it's Candela. Begins with a C-A-N, I think, or something like that. No, I don't think it's Catas. I
It's
don't
not
think
in
it's
the
the
book.
Indian name. Excuse me, the Native American name you referred to. Am I going to be woked out,
Yeah.
canceled?
Cancel culture.
Although the military calls all its rockets and everything by Native American names, Tomahawk missile, et cetera, Apache.
Apache helicopter.
Yeah, why is it woke to? Well, let's not get into it.
Yeah, but you don't get us started.
That's a
either.
rabbit hole.
Yeah, that
So,
certainly
Paul,
is.
do you? I wish I could remember this, but there are different flavors and different, I guess, results you're going to get from different areas in Nicaragua. Like,
Yes.
What is characteristic of?
Jalapa tends to be stronger.
Is it jalapa?
Jalapa.
All right. Because it's jalapa somewhere else.
J is basically an H, but it's a soft H. So I
And it's
say
Honduras,
jalapa.
it's a Y, right?
Yeah, or two L's is also a Y.
They have a lot of old jalapas down there.
Well, especially in Cuba, lots
That's
of
in
them.
Cuba.
Lots
A
of
lot of jalapenos.
But yeah, that's where the stronger tobacco comes from. The most metallic tasting tobacco comes from Ometepe, from the active volcanic island in Lake Nicaragua. Candega tends to be sweeter and more aromatic. And Esteli is whatever they want it to be, because that's the most recent growing area. That's where the factories always were.
Right.
But they didn't used to grow any tobacco.
They do
there.
now.
That's a much more recent innovation. So they basically amend the soil in a lot of different ways, and they make whatever they want to make.
Well, do they grow like wrapper versus filler and binder in certain areas versus others because
No.
of the soil?
No,
No.
At least not in Nicaragua. Nicaraguan wrapper can come from any of the places that grow the tobacco. It'll be different, but it'll be wrapper.
Interesting. What should we give our first opinion on this, Scott? why
Yeah, I
don't you-
started with the kind of the retro ale, but it's got a little bit of spice, and it's in the medium to full for me. And I'm judging that based on feeling it in the back of I don't feel it in my head. It doesn't feel like
Heavy.
a lot of nicotine, but I can, in the back of my throat is where I'm tasting it.
Rob?
Through the retro hell, I'm getting a very light cocoa taste. Obviously, that's a signature Nicaraguan taste for some reason. I don't know why, but it smokes similar to the Padron we were talking about. I think, to me anyway.
I don't think it's as sweet as a Padron.
It's not as sweet.
Not as smooth.
No.
Definitely not as sweet. It's got a
But-
little more bite,
Yeah,
Exactly.
but the net flavor is in the same neighborhood.
Right,
It's got
exactly.
that character.
Yeah, that kind of earthy, kind of like sweet spice or cocoa kind of thing.
And just a
Espresso.
very light pop of spice at the very beginning,
Right.
all in the front of your palate.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where I'm getting it. The tip of the tongue, back of the front teeth. Yeah,
I could smoke this cigar all day.
yeah, it's a very good
It's
cigar.
not
yeah.
assertive. Even though it's got a lot of flavor, it's
Yeah.
not like in your face
No,
strong
not
or
at all,
anything
no.
like that.
Exactly.
What do these retail for?
Like $7 or something.
Yeah, under
it's a good deal.
under
Wow.
9, 8, between
Oh,
7 and 9.
These are always very.
Yeah, he's
Affordable
always sharp
cigars.
on his prices. Yep, absolutely.
I'm looking up the actual blend, so we can talk and see if any of the regions, the binders from Jalapa or Jalapa. Which one was it?
Whatever. we
Jalapa.
want.
Jalapa. The fillers from Ometepe, Candega, and Esteli.
Boy, covered all the bases.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
pretty
covered-
much you got all of it.
And what about
The wrapper just says Nicaragua. You know what? I had a question for somebody at the whatever they call it now, RTDA, IPCPR,
PCA.
PCA, you were coming around to it.
Whenever you see a green cigar, what kind of wrapper is that?
Candela, American Market
Or it's
Selection.
also sometimes called double claro.
Okay.
Yes.
or AMS.
Where's it come from?
They can come from anywhere.
Could come from anywhere.
It's a process.
But this can come from anywhere, but they call it Nicaragua. You could have something that's lighter that comes from Connecticut. They never talk about where Candela, the country of origin of Candela tobacco. I know it can be anywhere,
Yeah, it can
but
be.
in every
But
single
they don't
cigar,
they don't bother to talk
They
about
don't
it.
bother to
single
talk
cigar
about
you smoke,
it's-
you know the wrapper and the country, except for Candela.
That's an interesting statement.
That is true.
We fiddled, years and years ago, we fiddled with Candela, but my net conclusion, and this was just for me, is that I personally disliked it so much I didn't want it in our rotation.
Candela is one of those love it or hate it, but those of us who are old enough to remember how things used to be, the vast majority of what would be considered premium cigars back in the 50s and 60s and even early 70s were green.
Yeah,
were
yes, they
American market selection. And it wasn't until basically, actually Nicaragua, in the late 60s, early 70s, Nicaragua was about to overtake, I told this story over the years a few times, was about to overtake Cuba because the characteristics of a lot of the early Nicaraguan growing areas were very similar to Nicaragua. You made point of it with the rust, the iron,
with
and
the
everything.
red clay
Red clay, yeah. And
Cuba.
in quality, they were about to overtake Cuba. And unfortunately, the first Sandinista revolution sort of wiped that out. And it took them about 25 years or so to come back, and they've come back stronger than ever.
Well, interesting thing about that, after the first Sandinista revolution, it didn't only damage the cigar industry in Nicaragua politically,
Oh, it sure did, yeah.
but also the government of Nicaragua under the Sandinistas made a deal with Cuba to stop growing cigar tobacco
I did not know that.
and shift as much as possible to cigarette tobacco because Cuba didn't want the competition.
Right.
And back in those days, the Sandinistas marched to Fidel's drum.
That was Ortega.
Yes,
Yeah.
Daniel Ortega. So they actually stopped for a long time growing cigar tobacco at all, and for what little they did grow, they actually Cuba sent seeds to Nicaragua that were disease-ridden.
It's funny you say that because
I remember you said that before on the show.
yeah, I recall in some of my early visits in the almost mid '90s to Cuba, in a couple of the smaller factories, I recall seeing bales of tobacco, or what looked like bales of tobacco. I presume that what was in them. They were in a tobacco factory. They were marked from Nicaragua. So they were using some kind, now that could have been for cigarettes, I don't know, because
they
the
were
Cubans
using
would never say that they were using some other country's tobacco.
No, and in fact, in the late 90s, there was a lot of talk about, like, nothing confirmed, but there was a lot of talk about whether Cuba was using Nicaraguan tobacco in some of their regular name brand
I know,
cigars.
I wonder. And I mean, why wouldn't they? What's the difference? I mean, outside this country, Cuba is just like another country that sells tobacco.
Yep.
I mean, it's only unique and somewhat forbidden fruit in this country because of
only
the
here.
embargo and everything. But you go to any other country, Cuban cigars or Cuban tobacco, just, like
does-
anything
part
else.
of
Does any other, like you could go to Europe, anywhere in Europe, go to Italy, they could make cigars there, and they could make.
They do.
Co-
They do make cigars in
but
Italy.
okay, but they could make a cigar this size blended with Cuban and Nicaraguan tobacco. I guess they couldn't get Cuban tobacco, could they?
Yeah,
Sure
that's
they
the
could.
challenge. Well,
Well, they
it's
could.
a
I mean, it's
challenge
legal, but
now.
they wouldn't- would they
it's
sell
hard
it?
to do.
Yeah.
It's hard because Cuba can't produce enough tobacco
Right.
for its
Yeah.
own use.
Right.
They're not.
They're not gonna export
they
it,
used
yeah.
to ship mostly short filler to Europe. There were a few German companies
yep,
that
yep.
would make
Small cigars.
machine-made cigars or
Yeah.
small cigars with Cuban short.
Yeah.
But as a general rule today, Cuban tobacco is not available outside of Cuba
that's
just
right, yeah.
because there isn't enough.
And the irony, as the demand for Cuban tobacco has gone up, and it has gone up tremendously in the last 25 years, the quality of what comes out of the factory, sadly, in my opinion, has gone down.
Absolutely. It's not just your opinion.
Well, I know, but I can't speak for other people, but it's certainly, it's an adventure sometimes to open up a box of Cuban cigars with 5 different colors and the ability to smoke more than half the box that you can draw through.
But 5 different colors is just a lack of attention
Now,
to detail.
yeah, it's exactly right.
quality
When I
control.
first started going to Cuba, I can remember in a couple of the factories, they used to have retired rollers sitting around a big round table.
Doing color sorting.
Yeah, just fast. Your eyes could hardly comprehend how fast
Right.
it was moving.
Flipping them.
Exactly.
And
And he'd get it perfect.
They did that 3 times.
Yeah.
They would sort by color.
Yeah.
Then another guy would sort by color.
Yep.
Then
Isn't it
another
mostly women do that because they have a better
They
eye
do
It
for
was
that
men.
when they sort the
Actually, it was
leaf,
men doing
not
it.
when they sort
When
the
I saw it,
cigars.
it was men. It was men doing it.
You're talking sorting the cigars, not the leaf.
Oh no! Sorting the cigars for color.
Okay.
Because
Before
they
they
took
packaged.
Yeah, they took pride in the colors being even in the boxes. Now, they over time, depending on how you age them, they are going to develop a different color. But the original box gets shipped from the factories. with
Every
all the
cigar is supposed to look the
They're
same.
supposed to look the
But
same.
that's a lack of attention to detail. The cigars are probably going to smoke the same, just because you got two different color wrappers. It's
Yeah.
the same process.
Yeah.
It should have been fermented the same way for the same amount of time.
You're
just
right.
Mother Nature.
You're right.
But it's that lack of quality that.
But,
I mean,
but,
lack
but
of
it's the
lack of
perception.
control.
The
Yes.
perception was, and the English Isles were one of the first to really capture and cultivate and sell a lot of Cuban tobacco. And back in those days, and we're talking many years ago, color meant everything. The quality, the smell, the box dressing, it was the appearance that really sold the cigar.
Well, even
Another way to think about that is the world of seconds.
Yeah.
In today's world, there's virtually no such thing as a
That's true.
second because people will buy anything if it tastes good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if it has a clown on the label or something.
Oh boy!
There's a shot.
Right across the bow.
But, oh, I don't.
But what?
I lost the train of thought.
well, you're right.
At
And
your age, that's not unusual.
It starts to happen.
one of the things you naturally go to are people who think they know what they're talking about. They ask if
Yeah,
it's-
that was pretty
is
good.
this a real Cuban? I'll tell them right off. I can't tell the difference if it's a Cuban or not. But they'll look at like, oh look, the band isn't exactly marked up, and I'm
no,
like, come
no,
on, do you really think they pay that much? Stop it. They look at that and they it's triple cap. I'm like, every cigar is triple capped anymore.
Well, not
Not everyone.
Not
Almost
everyone, but a lot of
A lot of
lot
them.
of-
Almost
lot
all
of
of
them
them are.
the easy way. The really
right.
easy way to tell.
I
Just
haven't-
smell the foot.
Yeah, see, I
No.
can't tell by
Speaking
that.
of
Oh,
Cuban
yeah, I can.
tobacco,
I'm not that good.
did you guys? I'm sure you did. But have you guys read about how J.C. Newman
Yeah.
has filed an application
Not
with the
gonna
federal
happen.
government?
Not
Yeah.
gonna
I
happen.
thought
No, I don't think we talked about it on the show.
no,
No.
we did talk about it on the show.
Yeah, we did it.
They have
I thought
Cuban
you were
tobacco.
part of it.
In
Yeah,
the-
they have it one bale.
No. They actually have. When I was last there about 5 or 6 years ago, they have one room downstairs where they have a whole room, a whole big closet actually, or at least at the time, filled with scrap. It was old Cuban scrap.
And they have one marked bale.
Oh, that they might have. I don't remember.
under
that.
a spotlight
That could be.
that sits
Yeah.
in a room, and it's a bale of Cuban tobacco. But what they're trying to do
Yeah.
is get authorization from the government not to buy tobacco from Cuba, but from
Individual
independent
farmers.
entrepreneurs
Right.
in Cuba.
Right.
Yeah, right. They will never.
It won't
It
happen.
won't happen. No, and I don't believe it will happen.
Paul's memory
Although,
long, 'cause that's- I
with
know
the
you were on
with the
here when we
with the
talked about
current ruling junta, excuse me, the current administration, it may happen. Did I say ruling junta?
You did.
I'm sorry.
Whose administration? Ours or theirs?
Ours.
Ours.
You gotta have a little political fun once in a while.
No,
While we still have our wallets intact.
Everybody's having political fun right now.
Yeah, it's too much fun actually. That's another story.
There's a lot to work with.
Yeah.
But we're shooting this a couple weeks before it actually airs, so by the time this airs, we may be required to wear masks again.
It's possible.
It's coming.
Well, we'll just cut little holes in them so we can smoke. That might defeat the purpose of the mask. though.
I might actually be thrown in the town, being like, all right, I'll just get the freaking injection. It's too much of a pain in the butt not to. That's what I said, but
Well, let's hope.
I get it.
Let's hope we live through this.
One way or another.
Yeah, sad, really sad. I mean, it just.
I'm thinking about coming up with my own, for use in the stores, like for lack of a better term, tasting kit. Where I want to get like a bunch of small containers, and I'll fill one with like black pepper, one with red pepper, one with white pepper, leather, all the different stuff that you can get the aroma from. Maybe actually dirt, certain kinds of wood, and just so
Bark.
yeah, just so you
Licorice?
can actually.
And?
What's that?
Go ahead.
So you can say, all right, people can use that to help identify the flavors, because I know I taste something all the time, then I'm like, I've tasted that before, but I can't figure out what the heck it is.
So instead of trying to put a word to it, smell
Put a
other
smell
things
to it.
until you get to the same spot, and that's the word to put to it.
Exactly.
So it'd be like
now
a
there's a kit you can buy that's like that, but I want to just come up with my own.
It'd be like a smell jar.
Well, jars.
Yeah.
Well,
you
yeah.
have-
Yeah,
But
but-
each one would be a sniffer.
Yeah. And I would base it off of, remember we had that flavor wheel?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because there's thousands of possible like I'm not going to have a pear in there.
Here's the problem. The smell going through your nose
Yeah, I know.
is
Different.
is more akin to the retrohale.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's the aroma can be different than the taste, but it's at least a place to start.
A lot of people don't retrohale though,
No.
I think we should have a
which
thing.
is a shame because
I think-
that's where you get most of your flavor
I
from,
think we should have a.
in my opinion.
I think we should have a thing in the store or on here where we teach people how to retrohale.
Well, let's put a show together based on that.
All right.
Some procedural things like a retrohale and a purging seminar.
Yeah. Okay.
Two
I
good
like that.
things to
Okay.
do.
I like
That's
that.
next time.
All right, shall we
Cigar
go
Time.
around and give our final review and put a number on it and do a little soft shoe dance and boogie on down through the night? Or something like that?
Who's on first?
You're on first. Go
I'm
ahead.
on first. Well, what can I say? I like this cigar a whole lot. The spice tempers down. There's a really good earthy character that really remains and I think becomes dominant. I give it a 9.2.
Okay. Got
I'm getting the spice has tempered down. Right now I'm getting a little bit of a floral kind of sweetness to it.
I haven't gotten that.
There is, and maybe this is based on old smoking this cigar many hundreds of times. A little bit of cocoa there.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel as strong as it once did. It's like tempered down to maybe a medium, and maybe it's because of that spice. But I'll give this a 9.25.
Rob?
I'm getting a lot of earthy taste, like Paul was saying. It's really good. It's not like a dirt earth though. It's more
It's soil, not
so
dirt.
right. Exactly. It's very good.
And that's an aroma thing.
yeah,
it
right.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
dirt
can-
is just dirt.
dirt.
Soil,
Right, soil is different.
smells
It's
has a
alive,
big
it's
difference,
rich,
yeah.
it's loamy.
Nutrients.
It's
Yeah.
you're right. It smells like soil. It
It's
tastes like
fertile.
soil.
I have to go herb.
I could smoke
Loamy.
this cigar all day long. I think it's fantastic. I gave it a 9.5.
I tend to agree with Rob. I mean, and of course, before the fist fights start, it gets extra kudos from me for the price. So I give it a 9.5 as well, and it's just a great anytime cigar, and the price just clinches it for me. Don't forget, our event's coming up in the middle of the month, or the third week of the month. And
Summer 23rd and 24th.
24th.
tuned.
Don't forget to stay tuned for our Cigar Time outlet show. We'll save a ton of money. And until next week, we thank you for watching, and we'll see you.
Ciao for now,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.